لا تبقي ولا تذر. It is not surplus, neither less. It is not more, not less. لواحة للبشر. It is obvious for humanity. عليها 19. Over it is 19. And the following verse discusses 19, and this number says will increase the faith acknowledgement of those who acknowledge, and also will remove doubts in the heart of Christians. Hopefully,
okay,
you are one of them.
Edip, we have to move along, but thank you. We are going to give Dr. Costa now his opportunity for a 6-minute closing statement, and we are resetting the clock right now. Go right ahead, Dr. Costa.
So much. Let me just say in conclusion that once again, I think that the question of the sources, I think we have reached somewhat of a consensus, and Dr. Yaksel has agreed with me that these sources do predate the Quran, and therefore they do have, they are not something that have been sent down, but that these were stories that were known prior to Muhammad. And that's exactly what the unbelievers were charging Muhammad with, that this is nothing new you're bringing us. We've heard this all before. And so Dr. Yaksel, I appreciate the fact that he has crossed over to my side, and he's actually agreed with me against Muhammad, that this is nothing new. I do have Dr. Yaksel's translation. In fact, I downloaded it. I do appreciate that. And let me quote to you Surah 25, verses 4 to 6 of Dr. Yaksel's translation. And those who rejected said, this is but a falsehood that he invented, and other people have helped him with it. Certainly, they have come with what is unjust and fabricated. And they said, fictional tales of old. He wrote them down while they were being dictated to him morning and evening. Say, it was sent down by the one who knows the secrets in the heavens and the earth. He is always forgiving, merciful. So even in Dr. Yaksel's translation, I think it's pretty clear that that's exactly what I read from Yusuf Ali. That's exactly what I read from Pickthall's translation. It's the same charge. And the answer that Dr. Yaksel was supposed to give was the one in verse 6 that say to the unbelievers who make this charge, it was sent down by Allah. We have seen, of course, that these sources are earthly in origin. Let me just also add that Dr. Yaksel then went on to talk about the Trinity. Once again, the Trinity is not the topic of tonight's debate. The topic, once again, is the sources of the Quran. Are they heavenly or earthly? And so in academic debates, it is imperative that we stick to the topic of the debate and not to argue irrelevance, which would be argumentum elenchi. So to mention the Trinity, and he went on and talked about Jesus being the literal Son of God. Well, first of all, I never said that Jesus was the literal Son of God. The Quran makes that claim, and the Quran is simply wrong, because no Christian has ever believed that Jesus was the literal Son of God. The Quran states that how can Allah have a son since he has no consort or wife? No Christian has ever believed that God had a wife, or that God engaged in sexual relations with Mary or anyone else to conceive Jesus of Nazareth. And so the Quran is not only wrong on the sonship of Jesus, the Quran is also wrong on the Trinity. In fact, the Quran never mentions the Trinity. What the Quran says is the unbelievers say that Allah is a third of three, thalatha, three, not Trinity, but three. The Quran actually misrepresents Christianity by stating that we believe in three gods, Father, Mary the Mother, and Jesus the Son. That's not what Christians believe. Once again, I apologize for even diverging from the topic of tonight's debate. The topic is not Jesus. It's not the Trinity. It is, again, the sources of Islam. But just to set the record straight, Dr. Yaksel was talking about the term only begotten, and he said something to the effect that the King James Version had the term only begotten, and modern-day translations use other terms like one and only. Well, the reason for that is that the Bible was not written in English. That is not its original language. I would not say the Quran was written in English. The Quran's original language is Arabic. But the New Testament in particular was written in Greek, Koine Greek. And the term only begotten is actually the Greek word monogenes. And monogenes is made up of two Greek words, mono, one, and genes, which means kind. So where we get the word genetics from. And monogenes simply means one of a kind. That is to say that Jesus is one of a kind, the unique Son of God, in the sense that he shares that oneness of nature with God that no one else has. And therefore, the question here is not a question of English. It's a question of translation. It's a question of the original languages. And Dr. Yaksel went on to the Council of Nicaea and The old rhetoric that, the incorrect rhetoric that Constantine or Nicaea was behind the Trinity, which it was not. The charge that it was the Apostle Paul that fabricated Christianity or created Christianity. All these things are simply untrue and disprovable by any person who is honest with the evidence. And so in the remaining time that I have, let me just, again, just quickly remunerate the point that I made. The reason why I have contended that the Quran is earthly in nature is because when you look at its sources throughout the Quran, what you find is that those sources can be traced to pre-Islamic sources. Again, the story of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, God raising Mount Sinai over the heads of the Jews and threatening to crush it over them, that comes from rabbinic writings. The story of Jesus as a little baby speaking from the cradle, this isn't in the New Testament. This is not part of the Christmas narrative. The story of Jesus making clay birds and animating them and causing them to go and fly off. Again, these are not things that we find in the Bible. And so what this demonstrates, once again,
30 seconds.
is what scholars have always recognized, and that is Muhammad had no clue what the Bible said, and most of what he thought Christians and Jews believed, he heard by ear. And this accounts for the confusion. This accounts for the questionable sources that you find in the Quran. And if that's the case, then this certainly is not the sign of a book that has come down from the one true God. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Costa. Thank you, Edip Yaksel. We are going to, at this point, take the opportunity to take another break. We'll be coming right back. And again, we encourage everyone that's out there, just another reminder, we're looking to hear from you. This is your opportunity to call in. And the number is 248-416-1300. Feel free to start those calls right now as we go to break. And when we do that, we'll be into getting the questions to our apologist tonight, Dr. Edip Yaksel, and also Dr. Tony Costa. We'll be right back after this brief break. Okay, we are back for this final portion of tonight's program of Debate Night. And again, the question, as we've mentioned before, are the sources of the Quran heavenly or earthly? 248-416-1300 is the phone number. Our lines are wide open. We certainly welcome any of you out there who are listening and watching. Take it as your cue. Right now is a good time to call. Feel free to watch us and listen and follow our programming here on ABN on our internet channel, which is www.abnsat.com, as you probably are well aware of that. We are continuing to move forward in our ministry here, as we have for a number of years, counting on your prayer and financial support. Certainly, we are grateful for how God has blessed this ministry as I sit in the studio with lighting and cameras and various video and audio gear provided by the Lord through the donations, the generous donations over the years of the variety of people who watch our programs, who follow us as a ministry, who participate. As a matter of fact, might as well take the opportunity now. Anyone out there who would like to participate as an actual debater, whether you're a Muslim or a Christian, and would like to participate, feel free to contact us. You can go ahead and do that at the number during normal business hours, 9 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. Again, 248-416-1300. One of our staff would be glad to hear what you would like to say, and we'd like to see if we can get you worked into our schedule. We are regularly fitting Christian and Muslim apologists into our debate night rotation, and certainly every Thursday night an English version of the program, like tonight, is being put together, and many hours are in preparation for each of the various apologists over the years, as well as staff here as we put together these programs. So a lot goes into a 90-minute show. It comes and goes quickly, and we certainly appreciate all the efforts that everyone has put together. And again, as we move forward, the clock is ticking. You can call, again, 248-416-1300. We will give each person an opportunity to answer the question. There'll be a 2-minute time frame and then a 1-minute rebuttal, and then we'll continue to move forward. Since we don't have any callers at this time, I'm going to go ahead and ask if, Edip, if you would like to, I'll just throw this out. The two of you have been working through this topic. Edip, are there any questions you would like to share towards Dr. Costa? You may do that now if you'd like, and Dr. Costa, if you'd like to answer. If there's anything directly, we can have a little dialogue going on here. We certainly are open to that as we wait for others to call. So, Edip.
Yes. First of all, I don't know whether you had a short amnesia at that time. It was you who brought crucifixion and resurrection and Trinity that the Quran doesn't mention that. Therefore, the Quran ignores the most important part of the story. Therefore, I brought the discussion about that one. Again, I want to go to this one. The Quran, of course, refers to some stories. You did not prove that they were wrong because they are in this particular people repeating it or in another book. If the Quran is, I understand. Let me look at from your perspective. Yes, the Quran may be quoting is made up by Muhammad. If you say that, well, quoting whatever Muhammad heard. But the other way of story, let's put if the Quran were of God, God knows which one is true narration. It may not be in your Nicene Conference approved or King James approved version. Maybe the true version protected by God, the truth, and God tells us that one. I'm saying the proof for that is mathematical structure of the Quran, which proves that every letter of the Quran is protected, unlike your, unfortunately, the Old Testament, New Testament, there are major, major problems. Anyone who a little bit study that beyond propaganda and stuff will see the fact it is not verbatim. It is a big lie, basically, obvious.
Edip,
but the Quran is...
we do have a caller, and maybe we can hold that thought and give Dr. Costa a chance to respond. But we have a question or a caller, and who are we speaking with? Hello? Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. We don't have a caller, but we do. Dr. Costa, would you, I know Edip wasn't necessarily finished there, but we have the clock set for 2 minutes. Dr. Costa, would you like to make any kind of response?
Yeah, certainly. Just in response to Dr. Yaksel's question, I mean, to brush the Bible aside as just a book of propaganda and lies and so forth, I mean, that's simply a mere assertion. I mean, we have to argue, we have to show proof for those type of claims, and that, of course, would be a topic for another debate.